Dr. Michelle, and I want to share some important information with you, especially concerning the extension of the videos that I did, talking about the executive orders that have been signed and some of the other things that have been going on when it comes to us, the people, and the government. All of this since Trump have come into order, right? Has become president. One of the most important things I wanted to bring to your attention, you'll be seeing me look down occasionally because I wrote this down because I wanted to stay on track. I'm going to try to do a couple of different videos over the next couple of weeks to try to get people up to par to understand exactly what's going on. That means I may have to backtrack to help people to understand some of the things that I'm bringing to you, because some people really don't have the knowledge, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all learn every day, but wisdom is power, right? Knowledge is power. To be able to get a clear understanding of what's going on so they can properly move forward over how to take care of themselves in this time, right? So the third term project has been presented to the Conservative Political Actions Conference, which is CPAC, that's the acronym, right, at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center in Oxon Hill, Maryland, last Thursday. What is that? That simply means that the third term project is an initiative for Trump to run a third term. Some people may agree with it, some people may not agree with it, but one of the things concerning that is against the Constitution. No president is allowed to run more than 2 terms consecutive, and that's in the Constitution, right? So that's being presented. It's an initiative with everything that's going on. That's something that you really need to be aware of, right? Because it's something that will affect us, because if he becomes a running president for the third term, then he will become an authoritarian, right? What is an authoritarian? That is forcing or enforcing strict obedience to authority, especially to government, at the expense of personal freedom. What is personal freedom? It means that if you go against something he says, if you say something that he don't want you to say, if you post something that he don't want you to post, if you don't do what he say do, how he says do it, then you could lose your freedom, right? Personal freedom, however which way he and decides to enforce that, right? And I do have to say that all of this is factual, in case TikTok wants to, ban me, because they banned the other video, which was all factual information. So we're going to say this is my opinion. This is for educational purposes only, and educational information that actually came from, credible sources. So I just want to put that out there, right? So when we're talking about personal freedom, we're talking about also, guys, I need you to know that that means our freedom of speech. So we really need to be mindful of this. We really need to get on top of this. We need to start contacting our local officials, our House of Representatives, all of these people to be able to say, this is something, yay, good idea, something, no, bad idea. If you want to stop this, because I really truly believe that this is going to be a problem when it comes to our personal speech, right? Now, when it comes to the thing that I'm going to talk to you tonight, I'm going to backtrack for Project 2025. I want to help you understand that. I'm going to be quick about it, but I want you to understand that so that you can understand everything that I told you in the previous videos. What people saying, no, that's not possible, that's not true. I want you to understand what I'm saying to you, and I want you to understand that this is credible information. And I'm also giving you knowledge, because I do have a background in some legal law classes. I did actually participate in the General Assembly many years in school. I went to the General Assembly. I saw how laws were wrote. I know how bills are written. I know how to do all of that. So I want to share this information. I'm just not flying off the top of my head, right? I may not have all the information, but I'm quite knowledgeable of the things I'm bringing to you, right? So now, one of the things I want to do, I want to backtrack to you and tell you that this is one of the reasons I need you to really be involved in this and get this information. First of all, I want to make you understand that we need to turn off our TVs. And I'm not saying that because Kendrick Lamar said it, but I need you to understand that if you have not been paying attention, for example, Joy Reid and her boss, Joy Reid, the one that actually had her own syndicated talk show, was removed from her position. It was a lady on MSNBC actually talking last week and prior to that, saying that that's not representative of MSNBC. You know, that there was two non-white people there working, Joy and her boss, and both were removed. That they don't condone that they felt bad for them. But this is what I want to say to the white people. You're getting on saying you felt bad for them. You're getting on, you're noticing this going on. If you are a white person and you notice that these things are being done to non-white people, then I suggest that you, as a collective at the job, you should go on strike. You cannot say that you are for us, and all you can do is get on the news station and say, well, I don't agree with it, it's sad, and then in the next breath turn around, because I looked at the interview, I forgot the lady name, and say, but whoever's taking their place believe we're going to continue to bring you this. No, that's contradictory. It means I feel bad for you, but we're going to move on as usual. We're going to continue business as usual. That's not how that works. You have been forever in our faces, forever in our business. Black people this, black people this. What can I do? How can we support you? And when we tell you how you can support us, you take a back seat and you pretend not to hear our voices. So this is what I'm saying to you. White people, if you want to be a part of this movement to help us to not go back to how it was, how it used to be, or just the plain injustices towards black people, then you need to take a stance for injustice. That means that if the whole station at MSNBC had to go on strike to say this is not something we condone, then that's what you do. Because whether it's going, but see, you don't want to take the chance of making yourself uncomfortable. And I'm going to leave that there because I'm digressing. I'm going somewhere else. That's not what I'm going to do, but that's what I want to say to you. Everybody that has a part in it and say, oh, I feel so bad. No, don't feel bad. Do something. Okay? So now, one of the other things I want to do before I jump into the 2025 project, so that I can help you understand that very quickly, I want you to understand that you have to cut your TVs off, because the media is being set up to feed you what you want to hear. The media is going to have people in place, which are lawyers, Loyalist, to Trump, to be able to do what he wants to do, right? And the reason that being said is because Project 2025, according to Wikipedia, says is a political initiative to reshape the federal government of the United States and remove checks. Now, checks and balances should be everywhere when it comes to government, but this is what it said: remove checks on executive powers in favor of right-wing policies. So what does that mean? It means that they don't want checks and balances in place to be able to say you can't do that, which means that they want to remove the executive powers to be out of place, to have to be able to tell them the boundaries and the standards and the regulations that they're able to do when it comes to the American people. They want that out of there, and they want loyalists who are in place who would do what Trump says do, right, regardless of what it is. Okay, so the other thing with that, when we talk about, and this is all tying into the 2025 project, if you're not aware, the government has three major branches when it comes to the government, right? The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch, right? So what is happening right now, in case you guys don't know what's happening, we have a president that is actually overusing his executive powers, right, to unwrite the Constitution. Now that itself is grounds for impeachment, right? He was impeached in 2013, if you guys remember. Let me see if I can remember. It had something to do with him overstepping the Constitution and breaking the Constitution when it came to Ukraine. Is that right? Ukraine. That's what it was, right? So he was impeached at that point, but nonetheless, he is president again. Regardless of that impeachment, this information again, you can research it. It's true. This is for educational purposes only. The last video I did had a lot of things in it, and TikTok banned it. Okay, so he was impeached for the abuse of power, obstruction of Congress, and its investigation of the president conduct regarding Ukraine. That's why he was impeached in 2013. Now, the fact that he was impeached on his first term does not takes me back to the fact that I almost was like, what is wrong with the American people? Of course, people saying, well, we want change, we want radical change, but at the same time, it is also fact that he was charged with 34 counts of federal charges against him before he actually was made president. Now, the thing is, being sitting president, we know that he cannot be charged with additional things. He cannot serve that time. He was charged and he was given a monetary amount to pay, right? But he was charged with 34 felony counts. 11 charges included invoices for legal services. Means that they were faulty, right? 11 charges, checks paid for legal services, stealing money, stealing the people money, the taxpayers' money, and 12 charges for ledger entries for legal expenses. Again, if you want to wrap it all up, that sounds like theft of the American people money, fraud, all types of paper crime, right, and money crime. But the thing is that I guess if you don't mind people stealing from you and then turning around and having somebody look over your personal finances, Social Security, all that. I'm not going to get into all that, but anyway, so that's the thing that we're dealing with now. We have this president in place, right? He said that he won by the biggest landslide ever in the history of the United States against Vice President Kamala Harris, right? Which again is not true, because Trump won only by a few 100,000 votes, thanks to the Electoral College, right? The Electoral College is made up the House of Representatives in each state. Each state has a certain number of electors that's elected by you to look over your affairs of the state, which is like your local policeman, your mayor, the governor, all of that, right? This is something that you're supposed to be able to go vote for, have a process or due process to say these are the people that we want to represent our state. Each one of those states has a electoral college, right, which is people that are made of Congress in that state to help push the vote forward according when it comes to voting. But the vote is won by the Electoral College votes, right? So the votes were that came in was from the Electoral College with 312 to 226. I forgot how many number of votes, electoral numbers you need for to actually win, but he surpassed that, right? I think it's 298 or something like that. I can't remember. But 312, he had 312, she had 226. The thing about that is that if you look at the majority votes of the people, it's less than a 50% margin in which he won, almost going towards 47% margin, which is a small margin, right? So it wasn't by a landslide. He won by the electoral votes, which still, again, today for me, gets me as a people like, we're supposed to vote, but the Electoral College is the ones that vote. So they're the ones that actually help him win. When it comes to everything that's going on right now, the way I perceive it is that Congress is really in a difficult place when it comes to what is Congress doing? Why aren't they stopping all of this? Why aren't they putting their hands in the dirt and getting dirty, right? What happens is that the Republican Party actually is the majority of the House. So they have the majority, both houses, both judicial and legislative house, right? So what they say basically go. If you look back and see what's going on, then you also can see that the electoral votes really is more on the Republican side as well. So if you have everybody on one side basically in control, what happens is, this is why Donald Trump has the ability to write all these executive orders and push them through quickly, right? And Congress, right, I feel like at this point should be coming up with a law, which they can, legislative law, right? They should be writing a law to contradict this third term, right? Because we're not trying to go through that, right? And they also should be trying to veto a lot of these bills. They can do that, but the final vote is up to the Senate, right? The Senate is the only one that can really override a bill that the president is trying to push forward, right? And the only way that the Senate can do that is really to take it up to judicial court, where a judge has to rule on whether the president can do this. These are the checks and measures and executive branches that's in place that can kind of help us out, right? But the problem is that it almost seemed like that we don't have a Democratic branch with a leg to stand on, right? I don't know why that is. I see them talking. I see them working very hard. I see them trying to do something. But at the same time, it almost seemed like, well, we have a whole lot of right-wing conservatives that's really running the country. But what I need you to understand is that you have the power. You're the one that should be electing these people at your local branches that say, this is what I want you to do for me. This is what I need done. And if they're not doing that and they're not listening to the people, then they need to get up out of there, right? That's how that works, because it's the power of the people. It's our voices. It's what we decide. And right now, we have no power. And I don't understand how that works, right? When you really think about it, how does that work? And I'm not going to get into that, but I just wanted to put that in your ear, right? So, quick lesson on that. All right, so when we go on to talk about the Project 2025, I want to break this down for you, right? Project 2025 is a product of the Heritage Foundation right-wing think tank, right? And so what happens is they have 4 main policies that they said they were trying to address. They restore the family as centerpiece of American life. And that's what I think that Trump keeps saying, make America great again. When you talk about restoring the family, I don't know how that's working, because we have the biggest racial divide in the country, starting from when he became president his first term, and he took the economy up, the budget up, everything up, our debt up to another $1 trillion, right? So I don't know how all of that is restoring nobody, but I almost feel like I know what Make America Great looks again with everything that is happening, but I'm gonna leave that up to you, because again, I believe that this is censored. It is not free speech like they say. You can give your opinion, but if they don't like your opinion, it can get banned. So I'm gonna definitely put this on other platforms. So TikTok, if you don't get it, go to my YouTube to be able to see this, and I'm gonna put that somewhere as well. So it says restore the family as a centerpiece of American life. First policy, 2, dismantle the administrative state. So if you say, what does it mean to dismantle the administrative state? For me, I'm thinking that it looks like what it looks now, and that is the tearing down of the government as a whole, right? That's my personal opinion, what it looks like for me. 3, defend the nation's sovereignty and borders. And that was the immigration thing, of course, and secure God given individual rights to live freely, right? So all of that is contradictory of what actually is happening right now. I need you guys to see that it's contradictory. Again, like I say, I don't hate Trump. I don't hate Elon Musk. Some of the things on the surface, when they say that Dodge will put in place to control wasteful spending, to pull out the corrupt in the government, to do all of that, that sounds good on the surface, and we say, yeah, get them out of here. They getting all this money, they not working. We got all these people in federal places. Money is going all over the world, all this and that, and all this and that. Well, that would be fine if there wasn't a conflict of interest right there. Like, if you're removing the places, the things in places to be able to, the checks and balances to be able to control the executive orders, that's the first red flag. The second thing is that if you're going to be over wasteful spending and you've been appointed the advisor to the president, then you shouldn't be able to have a part in DOGE, which is Department of Government Efficiency or something like that. You shouldn't be able to have a part of that because you have government contracts. So if you have government contracts, Elon, then that's a conflict of interest, because again, then you don't have any checks or balances or anybody for you to be accountable for, to enforce that you don't take advantage of the taxpayers as well. So that's a conflict of interest. And if you say, well, he doesn't work for DOGE, then why are you sending personal emails and telling anybody, give you any type of information, or they're going to be terminated as part of DOGE? Or why are you standing in the presidential office speaking for the president about DOGE, but you don't work for DOGE? Make it make sense, right? So I need you guys to just look at these things, right? Official DOGE is supposed to be official government department, right? And that is a whole big conflict in itself, because the same time as he was checking for wasteful spending, he was getting a $300 million new contract, right? The same time that he's checking for wasteful spending, the president is not trustworthy, in my opinion, because you have 34 felony counts for being not trustworthy, right? So, I mean, make it make sense. I don't know if everybody else is just like, oh, I don't see it, and you running through Liddy fields, and you're just happy and bouncing, but it makes me feel that way, right? So one of the other things that the Project 2025 stands for, or it said it was going to deal with, is abortion and family, right? It's going to stop federal funds for abortion. And I believe that's a choice for each person, each individual, each woman for themselves. I don't think that the government should have a say when it comes to our bodies and the decisions we make. Although I'm not completely for abortion, I can't say that I don't understand, because it's a path I've walked down before myself. So when it comes to rape, when it comes to incest, when it comes to all sorts of things, I don't think that a woman's rights should be taken away, especially when it comes to the 10-year-old girl who was pregnant and the doctor made the decision to abort the baby. One, that child body is not, could not have even stood going through pregnancy. Even though her body was beginning to mature as a woman, she was obviously maturing very quickly, because at 10 years old, your brain, your body, you cannot begin to understand what is happening to your body and how to have a baby, right? The fact that I feel like sometimes these foods cause our babies to mature quicker, to have menstruals quicker, just because you have a period, just because you have breasts, just because you go through puberty early, does not make you a woman. You have to be mentally prepared to have a baby, right? That's a whole nother thing. So that's the abortion and family. That big thing with that, women's rights have been put into the hands of men that don't have a clue what it feels like to have an abortion, have a baby, have a period, have cramps, none of that, right? So that's just a no-go anyway. And then also they want to revive the 19th century law to ban abortion medications materials from being sent through the U.S. Postal Services, right? Anything to do with abortion at all, they want to ban, and even stop things from coming through the mail to give you the option to abort a baby, right? To each his own, right? Because I do believe in life. I would love for everybody to have their baby, give it up for adoption, all of that, because you live and learn. but I just don't think that our productive rights should be in the hands of men at any cost, because I feel like the next thing they're going to do is tell you, if you bleed for too many days, then you need to be put in a hospital or something. It just doesn't make sense for me. Okay, so immigration was one of the other things. We know that ICE has been running around picking up people, deporting them. Visas have been suspended for natives that have citizenship that want to come back into the country or can't, come back in the country, can't get visas and things like that. We know that that's a whole big thing, right? Funding for the wall is in that Project 2025. Of course, deportation, dismantling of Homeland Security. Now, Homeland Security is there for a purpose, for a reason. It needed to be its own individual department, but it's saying that Donald Trump is trying to combine it with other agencies. So, yeah. And then, of course, energy, climate change, all of that also is a part of it. And that is, let me backtrack to immigration. One of the things that happened was that during this immigration project, President Trump actually tried to rewrite the birthright laws and make it so that if you actually try to end birthright citizenship, right, which means that if you was not originally from this country, you was born in this country by an immigrant, that wasn't going to count, right? Or you wasn't, you was going to have to get up out of here. A judge denied that because it was going to be a whole lot of people that were actually born here that was going to be deported. Now, the thing about that, also it was going to dismantle the asylum system, which was basically a protection of the natives as well. But this is the thing that gets me when it comes to immigration. You cannot immigrate. If you're going to do immigration, you have to immigrate yourself, right? White people is not the original owners of this land. White people did not do anything but benefit off of their hands and the slavery of other people, right? White people this is not their home. So if you're talking about immigrating people, you're going to immigrate white people first, because white people stole the land. White people are the thieves. Now, if you say, well, go look up your history, go look at it, right? But you better look at it and look at the books that you have in your arsenal now, that you have in your possession now, because we're now at the place where, as you know, for example, Governor Sanchez in Florida has implemented that Black history can't be taught in schools, that certain books need to be removed, that history needs to be rewrote. He's not the only one. This is going on everywhere, right? So everywhere you have people saying that let's dismantle Black history, let's not talk about it, let's teach what the agenda we want to teach. Matter of fact, we have teachers who are now Black teachers who allegedly are losing their jobs because they don't fit the algorithm of what the school wants to teach, or what Trump has in place. And if you're not going to do what he wants you to do, then he's not going to send you funding for your school, right? So a lot of schools may lose funding. And so, of course, how can you send your Black kids to a school where they don't feel inclusive, where you can't teach them about their history, where you can't talk about where they came from, but you're going to teach them everything that's going to make them feel oppressed or left out or shameful of their skin color, or feel like they are serving to the white counterparts in their class, right? So that's going on. The DEI initiative, which I'm going to get to really quick, has a lot to do with that, right? So when you talk about immigration, then you need to understand that colored people, Native Americans, were the ones that was actually on this land, right? Was on this land, that owned this land. We all know about slavery and the minorities that helped to build this land. The Black people who built this land on their own had the knowledge to make a whole world function, right? We wouldn't be the ones to go, right? So this history is allegedly trying to be rewrote so that the generations behind us come in with an understanding that is not a true understanding, to be able to fall into the narrative of what's happening today, right? Which means that the rich get richer, the poor get poor, but the poor wants to make sure that there are allegedly, right? This is just my opinion for educational purposes. I have to say this because some of this was in my other video and TikTok was like, no, right? To make sure that they have the slaves and the pressures to keep working to fund their dreams and their lifestyles, right? Because that's what our taxpayers' money go to for the majority, right? All right, so now, the other thing, aside from immigration, we talked about abortion, family, immigration. The other thing was I talked to you about the rewriting of history, because that's one of the things that they talk about when it says that they want to make America great again, right? Now, going back to, this is one of the reasons why I told you, going back to, we need to turn off the TVs, because everything is now is being set into place where media can feed you what they want to feed you, because the people that are loyalists to Trump and his agenda will be put in place, right? So now, I could talk more about the things, books being banned, schools being dismantled, all of that, but I'm gonna keep on going. Now, so the other thing that the Federal Project 2025, one of the other things they did was they wanted to impose tariffs on other countries, states, like Mexico, China, Canada, all of that. But what happened was Canada, Mexico, and China was like, okay, we're gonna give you these tariffs back, which is basically taxes when it comes to the exportation, importation of goods into the United States, right? So what's happening is that Trump was like, we're not gonna keep paying taxes for these things because we're being double taxed for these things to come into the country. So we're gonna throw the taxes back on you so that we don't have to pay it. Well, they was like, well, we're going to impose taxes on you for us to bring it into you. So this is like a mess, right? Because who's going to pay those taxes when it comes to actually getting goods and services coming? It's going to come back on us. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out. He wants to abolish the Federal Reserve, and so we see all of these jobs and places being abolished. We see 2 million people upward losing their jobs. This week, VA employees started to lose their jobs. That's personal to me too, and I know that to be true. I know that to be true when it comes to federal employees. And we know Elon Musk, who says he's not over Dodge, actually take a part and send an email out demanding federal workers to tell them what the ones that are still there, what their job duties were, or either face the termination. I have a copy of those letters myself, so I know those things to be true. The other thing was slash federal money for research and investments, which means that instead of researching how to cure cancer, you need to be going back to the old school way, because the herbs are for the healing of the land. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And also slash federal money for research and investment in renewable energy. We need that, which I believe has already been done. Energy should be free, but yeah, so all right. And then the other thing was to return to the gold back currency. I'm gonna skip that one because there's a whole lot I want to do on that one separate, right? So I'm gonna do that separate for you one day. All right, then the other one was stop the oil and gas, natural gas trade and pro-tariff position. So that was that when it comes to that. All right, so now also I want you guys to know that the last one I'm gonna do is at DEI. I did a video on DEI, so go back and look at my videos. That was the other part to the Project 2025, education and DEI. To end DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. That was in it. You should know all about that by now. People think that it was an extension of affirmative action to be able to help black people get into places where normally white people would not hire you, or jobs would not take in consideration. But it was more about helping people to it was more about helping to stop this discrimination, where black people, minorities, disabled, trans, all people had an equal opportunity to go to a job and not be discriminated against because of the color of their skin, their disability, their sexual preference, their religion, all sorts of things. And that, I mean, it's a lot to that people didn't understand. But I'm going to tell you that the people that benefit the least from DEI was black people. Black people. Just so I need you to keep that in mind. He wants to end Department of Education, right? Which means that the education will be put back to each state. You would be responsible for public funding for your schools, or either the funding coming to your school would be based upon, whatever Donald Trump say, right? The Department of Education is subsidized, unsubsidized loans, grants, and all of that gone away with the Department of Education. What I hope go away with the Department of Education is these loans, which is a ripoff with interest that, half of America can't pay because of the interest and the high cost, right? So then the other thing is that they said they were working on was subsidizing religious and private schools with public funds, which I basically said. The other thing, banning pornography. This hasn't been touched. I have looked at the executive orders. I'm gonna go back and look at a lot of them, but this is something that needs to be touched that has not been touched. Banning pornography, shutting down tech and telecom companies that allow adult materials. And as far as I can see, there has been no mention of executive order signed for this part, right? All right, and then also the last part is to fill positions with conservative lawyers to fill the government and provide a program to train these workers. And short, that means to rewrite the federal government or dismantle it allegedly so that it can fit what the image of Donald Trump wants to look like. Now, if you have not seen the magazines that have him on as king, if you have not seen the website where he has his stuff, he calls himself king, he has a crown on. This is moving towards dictatorship, authoritarian behaviors, and also it is something that we should be concerned about. Now, whether you agree with him or not, I need you to understand that I wanted to get this information out to you. Again, the gold currency back part, I'm going to do a whole video on that separate. But I wanted to get this information out to you for those who did not understand what 2025 project really was. If you don't understand the executive orders that I have did videos about, go back and look at that on my TikTok page. That Princess, which one is it? One of my TikTok pages. I'm going to have to put it in my comments. And also, I want you to understand that right now, we should have the power. We do have the power, but we need to start contacting our House of Representatives of our local official agency, elected agencies, and start to do the work. Congress, I think you need to start vetoing, because they have 10 days, if I'm not mistaken, to veto a bill, the executive order that the president write, but then they have, I think, a total of 30 days, or the Senate, one of those houses, to actually say, no, this is not what we're going to do. Just because he signed the executive order as president, he has the right to do that. It can go into effect, but there's a period where people can do something about it, where Congress can do something about it. Congress has a lot of power. First of all, they're the purse. They're supposed to handle anything when it comes to taxes, incomes, the budget, all of that. That's going over their head. That's why, as of now, it is alleged, it does look like that he's breaking constitutional rights, because he's bypassing Congress, or either Congress hasn't been able to, I don't know, but Congress has the right to the purse. but they also has the legislative body to be able to rewrite laws or get involved with those things that he's signing these executive orders and turn it into laws, right? So I hope all of that information help you understand, help you get a better understanding of the judicial process, the branches of the government, how that works. I know it was quick, and Project 2025 to understand what is going on now, what is happening now, and exactly what we need to start focusing on and what we need to do. In the next coming days, guys, I wrote it down. I am going to jump on here to talk to you about the breakdown of each executive order and what they mean. Maybe I'll do 3 a day because it's 73 so far. I'm going to tell you that we can suggest the creation of a bill that we can to protect the House of Representatives to present to the House of Representatives for your state. We can no longer we can't just do it ourselves. It has to be presented through the Congress, through the House of Representatives, through your state. But you can present a bill and you can present these suggestions to help things change things and be better through your House of Representatives, right, for your state. The fourth day, I want to talk about the bill, actually us coming up and trying to come up with a bill to stop President Trump from running for a 3rd term, right? That initiative and getting that to the Congress. The 5th day, we want to talk about the fact that we already millionaires/billionaires. We don't owe anybody nothing. That's about that gold back in currency that I want to educate you on. The 6th day, the stimulus, which I'm thinking that it's supposed to come out February 28th. So I think those days are pushing it because it somewhere in there it might be out already. I did a video on the stimulus. That one was banned. So I might not get to that already. I might have to switch that around and talk about that tomorrow. And also, I want to talk about where is the disconnect, how did we get here, and then the 8th day U.S. is a business. I want to explain to you about that, and 1 or 2 more things that I might do, but I just wanted to break that down, that you will see some videos from me about those things. So you're going to be okay. You're going to have all the information you need to feel comfortable, to understand what's going on, but to also feel like you have some power to do something, or at least not be in the dark. Okay, so this is Dr. Michelle. You guys be blessed. And yeah, knowledge is power. The word said my people suffer because of a lack of knowledge. Get yours. Be blessed.